You know, guys, there's got to be something about Friday the 13th. I've never had this happen to me. But anyway.
Three false starts.
And you haven't been seeing things. That's what happened, people. Anyway, the first time it just stopped working. The camera stopped picking us up. We're just frozen in time. And then the second time, I forgot to put the mics back on. So anyway, that probably should jump up ahead or later on to the conversation. But we got to get into this thing about the Trump's new proposal, I guess, tax proposal or lack of tax proposal.
Okay, so his new thing is, and I think this should actually, if anybody had any common sense at all, and like you said earlier, one of our 3 false starts, this should be a good thing. This should be every union member across the country should be jumping on this, and every union should be jumping on this.
How could you not?
It's where he said no more taxes no more tax on overtime. I mean, that's huge.
No taxes on overtime. It almost makes me want to go back to work.
It does.
Yeah, because people don't realize that. See, we get our money taken from us because we have to fill all that paperwork for the IRS whenever we get employed somewhere, and we don't realize the money's been slipping away from us. We'll look at deductions on the pay stubs or whatever, or the deposits, but the money's pretty much painlessly taken from us as painlessly, I guess, as possible.
And people don't see it, and they're happy to have it that way. That's why they don't want you to see it. They just want to see, oh, I'm getting paid. I got money in the bank.
They get their money.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't even go. I mean, I've had coworkers that were down to the penny that would go and make sure that they got it. But like you said, any union boss, or I guess their bosses, president should be pounding their chest and saying, man, we've got two big things for our unions. Shoot, I would go talk to Trump and try to get more. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you go to Donald Trump or even Kamala Harris as a union and try to get more? I mean, why not use, if you like Democrats so much, then go to the Democrats, say, hey, I'm thinking about supporting this guy because he's offering this. Why not make her say it too? And then it's a guaranteed. It's not 50-50 anymore.
Right.
Well, she already did that one time.
Right.
I mean, she already followed after Donald Trump. She follows after.
But then again, they said that they were going to give student loan forgiveness too, didn't they?
Yep.
That never happened.
No, it keeps going.
That's unconstitutional. Across the board.
No.
Some people got it, but what I'm saying
the
is,
elites did.
Can you trust her? I mean, they got a track record that you can't. And Donald Trump.
Yeah, Donald Trump is like, I'm amazed that he's a person from such a privileged background. They always make a big deal about that, but he has a better understanding of the day-to-day operations of an individual making, a wage earner than these elite Democrats. None of these people see Trump is closer to the labor source than these Democrats are because they're college educated. That's why they go from college to college to college, teach for a while, then go into this area. They're so cut off.
But they're just, what's the word?
Looks like
where you don't actually do the job, but you think about it. Theory.
Yeah.
Job theory. They went to school for job theory. So they have an idea of how it's supposed to work. It's like the Rodney Dangerfield
scenario.
What was the name
of the movie?
Back to
School, where he schooled the economist or business expert on how to really run a business.
And the guy would see that's all he had is theoretical knowledge. I mean, there was one time, I forget who it was, maybe Ronald Reagan or something. One of them said, basically, a academic economist will look at something working and wonder if it would work in theory. They wonder if this work in theory. It's already working,
But getting back to what we were talking about, the union presidents should be happy about this, and they should be echoing what Trump said.
But they're not going to do it.
If nothing else, just to force Kamala Harris to come out with
Sean's not going to give Trump one bit of credit. And that's the one here.
But my argument is he doesn't have to. He can make Kamala Harris come out with her version.
Her version is going to be whatever Trump says to put her name on it.
Yeah. But that's what he should be doing, is trying to lay pressure on her for his union members.
No, because he's not. You know why he's not going to do it?
I understand. My argument is not that he's going to do it. I'm saying what he should be doing, not why or he's not doing it.
No, he won't do it.
But of course not.
Because what Trump did was cut his legs right out from underneath him. Because here's the deal: if I'm taking this money out and it's all pre-tax and everything is coming out, right? The union gets their money before anyone else gets theirs. The
yeah.
government and the union get the
Right.
money, right?
But
But as the employer is having to pay between the employer and the employee, they're paying over 56% of every single time of that. This is why employers don't want people to work overtime, because it's not because they don't want people to make money. It's not. And sometimes I'd rather, and you would rather as a business owner, have the guys on that shift that know what they're doing, stay over 4 hours extra and come in 4 hours extra, and I don't have to pay somebody, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather pay 12 hours
work for the money.
Right. And I'd rather have the money going over there and I have to pay the taxes. When Trump just did, he came in and said to the employees all across the board, if you make $10 an hour, we're going to save you $4.20. That's going to government.
Get that math, though?
Because it's 28%. Because it's 28% of what Kamala Harris wants to raise. So if you vote for Kamala Harris, your thing's going to go up 7%. Your taxes.
Right.
All across the board.
7%.
Yeah.
And that's not a year. That's on every.
That's on every hour. That's on every hour you work. That's on everything you do. You can't. And if an economist comes through and goes, "Oh no, that's not true," bull, whatever. Because bull hosh. Because here's the deal: every little bit of that is going to be taken out of you, because if you raise it here, the employer has to, or the owner or the founder company has to do this. So guess what? You want to talk about price gouging? Price gouging comes with the government. Every time you raise taxes on everybody because you want more money to go pay for Haitians that live all over the place and other governments, and you want to go be the sugar daddy for everybody and be the big brother for everybody and everything like that, well, guess what? That money's got to come somewhere. That comes from the working class, you and I, right? The middle class. It doesn't come from a person sitting home not making any money. Right, that the government's paying for. And I'm not saying anything bad about that, because I'm not touching Social Security. I'm not touching anything else. But if you go brass tacks, that money comes on anybody like you and I, or anyone that works, right? And they come up with that big sign, pay your fair share. Well, if I was watching the news last week, I think I saw somewhere about Hunter Biden pleading guilty for not paying his fair share, while his dad's out there saying paying your fair share. I'm just thinking that's kind of thing. But so here's the deal. If 56% goes back to the government of that $15, right? So you're paying the government for that $15 an hour that I have to have you work. Between me and you, as an employee and employer, we're now paying the government over $7.50 just for me to get a widget out the door.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's like basically, I mean, they always talk to the mobsters, like the mafia, like especially in the East Coast, how bad they were, and taking money from people. They didn't have any skin in the game and demanded a certain portion of stuff for protection money. Well, essentially, that's what we pay the government, is the protection money.
But off camera, you did some math,
right,
about how much. Okay, right now, how much do people pay?
If you're paying for $10 an hour, right? If just figure for every $10 you make an hour.
In that, so if you're doing time and a half,
you go 15.
$15 extra.
Right. Now you're paying back to government $4.20.
Oh.
Per hour you work.
So that's $4.20 that Trump would let you keep in your pocket
for
at least the 4 years that he would be in office.
Right. And then if I remember right, the union contracts we negotiated, they had to pay 1% of your paycheck, right?
So it would take the union fees.
The union fees, because of that, they would be able to take that away from it too. So Trump is clearing the whole thing.
That's a lot of money that the unions
wants to have. That's why Sean is not beating his chest and saying, "Get this from members," because Sean's looking at his bank account going, "Let's do this." Yeah. Look at most contracts. And you're going to say about this contract that came up this last year. But one thing that I don't understand. You cannot use the word partnership. Arbitrators use it for all the time. Everybody uses it for all the time. It is not a partnership.
No.
A union is not a partnership.
No, because that means 50-50 or 30-30, depending on how many members there are. I
always told everybody, I'd said the day that I will actually put my hand behind and I've been part of unions and stuff like that. No one has to call me a scab.
Yeah, because
we've all been part of unions.
We all believe in the unions have their uses and
they've had their use, but now.
But what we're saying is we're not against unions.
No, what I'm against is
union leadership.
Yes, that's it.
See, I actually had the privilege of knowing a guy who was actually one of the sit-downers, and he later on became a.
What's a sit-downer?
Sit-downer. In 1937, the situation GM got so bad, the workers were treated horribly, and I can tell you several stories that were bone chilling and horrible. And anyway, so they just decided to start a union, and that's what now is the United Auto Workers Union. Anyway, these groups of people were at this one plant, and they sat down. They refused to do the job, and the GM management brought in the cops, and then later on they had to bring in the National Guard, and there was actually people. I think they remember right. There were deaths connected to the strike.
Yes,
and it was a long period. The management was trying to starve them out, so they prevent anybody from bringing food into the sit downers, and they smuggled food in. It was every bit of every like the coal miners unit down in West Virginia and stuff that they when they started that. Of course, one good advantage is they didn't have own the housing as much as like those coal mining towns that or you've seen it if you've seen
the company
stores and stuff like that. But it wasn't far from that. But anyway, GM wasn't going to change its ways until these people organized for the UAWs. I mean, there's no way you can deny that. And the union did some tremendously great things. We all benefited off. I mean,
we still do.
So I mean, we're not.
They were more local back then, not national.
Right.
And that's part of the problem. You got these leaders that are so far removed from their membership because they're not. UAW is national now, and they don't only represent auto workers. They picked up little mom and pop things too. So
unions are not bad, and but the problem is that don't tell somebody you're a partner, and the government says they partner. They're partners with the government. They're not partners with the business owner. Because here's the problem: when the company is having a problem, financially, I don't see a union come in and say, you know what, we'll pay all employees.
But okay, so and the other one was no tax on tips, but so the union doesn't have any problems with that one because
Kamala came behind it.
Not getting any money off the taxes and the tips. But
see, the thing is, it gets to a point too. And I don't know if you want to go that route, but I mean, everybody when they hear about taxes, they say, "Well, this group's got to pay their fair share, or that group's not paying their fair share." And then when you press them, they never can come up with what proportionality would be considered the fair share. And it's like I always push that every time I hear people. It was in college. It was not very popular. Bring that up, by the way. But they said
I don't think it was popular in college.
But it wasn't very popular because I sat outside of that because I love Flint. I was from Flint, but my family wasn't connected to the union.
I thought, because that's what your talk was. The Kool-Aid was unions are it. You have to support the union, or you're going to get beat up, even as a kid in recess.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, you got to be proud.
Yeah, because let's face it, my dad wasn't managed. My dad was a postal worker. He got paid considerably less than the factory workers did, and so and their union for the federal workers was basically, it was just like a fraternity because you couldn't strike. You can't strike. So that's a major component of having leverage over management.
And it's just a way for them to collect money.
That's all it is. Yeah, that's all it was.
Because like you said, every government agencies, everything's mandated for the most part. There's not much a union can do for you. But getting back to Friday the 13th, you had some interesting stuff you wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Oh, guess what the history or the 13 interesting facts? Let me pull it up. According to time. I got this out time.
All the time for time.
But John was going to talk about where it came from first.
Well, the story I've heard, and a lot of people, I believe there's validity to it, is Friday the 13th was, I think it was in April of 1307, is when the mandate came down, the arrest of the Knights Templars, which was, it was a union, not union, it was a union. It was a brotherhood of knights that were set up to actually establish safe passage between Europe and what we call the Holy Land, and they set up like hospitals that people would stay at traveling down.
And not only that, then they set up one of the first
banking
systems in order to move money from point A to point B.
Right. So what you did is, if you go France, you had so many thousands of francs or whatever they call them at that era, and you deposit it with the chancellery or the exchequer or whatever of the Templars, and they give you, say, so and so. They would write your name down. Deposit this much on this date, and then at this place, and then they give you that paper,
and that would stop people
from stealing from you
because your carriages were marked, and people knew that.
And
that you were traveling under the protection of the Templar.
And when you stopped at a place where they could use money, you could withdraw from that. They have a place set up where they had money. You could say, I would like to withdraw so much out from my account, and they would extract the amount of money that from your deposit and give you that money, and so you can go to the next place. And so that was like safe haven. So you didn't have to carry all this cash with you.
Right.
So they protected the people. So it was a very convenient system.
And the people loved them too.
Yeah. The Knights Templars are they're like legendary for their frugality, for their piety, and for their fierceness in battle when they fought against the Muslims.
People that don't speak French, can you re-explain what you just said?
Okay, let's see. The fidelity they fought. They were very religious, and they were actually very dedicated to the mandates of Christianity.
French,
and they were like warrior monks. They were very good at combat,
but they were well liked by the people.
Yes.
And that was part of the reason that the king didn't
not like
what was going on. That was one of the
reasons. Well, see, and also
that'd be jealousy of the government.
Philip. I think what they call Philip the Fair of France. I think that was ironies like not lost on me on that one. But anyway, he borrowed money from the Templars and he didn't want to pay it back, so.
He also borrowed money from other people.
Oh yeah, he just kept on borrowing because he didn't know how to rein that in. So he hatched out a scheme so he didn't have to repay them by making accusations of them engaging in homosexual behavior, doing like practice of paganistic worship and stuff within the temple's churches scattered throughout the countries. And also he accused them of basically treason because he actually had, after a while, they actually established somewhat friendly relations with some of the Muslims and stuff throughout the lands that they were in.
Was he a Democrat?
I was the first Democrat.
Yeah.
But that happened. But he decreed that they were going to be killed. Secretly. They
were seized up and they were grabbed up from the different priories.
And what day was that?
That would be Friday the 13th. I think April 13th. 1307 or something like that.
And that's where Friday the 13th originated from.
And so it was a sad and tragic day and also a terrifying day because the word did get out and some of them did escape the grasp of the king. And later on, there's a long story about that. But I wasn't.
We're just trying to figure out where the date came from.
Do you believe in? Okay, I don't know if it's going to get us a lot of comments. No, it's going to get us a lot of comments. But I don't know. I want to say it, but I'm going to say it. You ever think about somebody having a past life?
Reincarnation?
Yeah, reincarnation. Yeah. You ever think about that?
Well, it's a lot of religions have that. I think
because if you're talking about that, I would say Merrick Garland would be that Philip the Fourth.
Yeah.
Seriously, I think he would be that guy.
But what's on your list?
All right, so there's 13 things that came up with some superstitions. Basically, the number one was the Last Supper because Judas was the 13th guest. The second one was what you were talking about. Friday was considered an unlucky day as the 14th century. And the Canterbury Tales on the Friday fell on all mischance. The first specific written reference to Friday the 13th as an unlucky day was in the early 20th century novel Thomas Lawson called Friday the 13th. Ironically, the ship named after Lawson was caught in a storm and shipwrecked on the night of Friday the 13th, 1907. Not all cultures believe that Friday the 13th is unlucky. In Greek and Hispanic cultures, Tuesday the 13th is considered far more unlucky than Friday. And then Friday the 17th is spookier than Friday the 13th. The bad luck on Friday the 13th is a self-fulfilling prophecy. In a 1993 study found that the hospital admissions for traffic accidents were 52% higher on Friday the 13th than the 6th.
I just heard today, it was on Facebook, so I didn't track the veracity of this, but right there on Door and Davis Road, there was six auto accidents. Today. Right on that corner.
Yeah. I don't know where my dad was driving them over on that corner. So that's where he got in the car.
Do you think, I mean, I don't know. Today was a bad day for our
startup.
yeah, 3 times. We can blame it. I mean, it's easy to blame it on that.
We're not live on anything on TikTok or on YouTube.
That's it.
We're not live.
I got one here. That's weird. I've done everything. Oh, we're not live there? Okay, this is getting weird, man.
Can you just close it?
Can you stop it?
Stop it? Or wait, let me look. I mean, it's screwed up now. It's live.
Yeah,
Is it live?
Yeah, okay. So I was like, yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, I was like, I saw one person join us. I figured, yeah. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
We thought for sure Friday
got a
the
text.
13th, and we got a message saying that we weren't live, so we thought for sure.
Sorry.
We weren't
The
live.
light just flickered. I did pay the bill, by the way. So, it's okay. And this is getting too spooky, but
Talking about spooky and cats. How's your?
Oh yeah, we're talking about spooky and cats. And do you like cats?
not the way the customary.
No, it's not really funny what's happening in Springfield, Ohio. The Haitian immigrants eating the local populace pets, and you've heard about it, right?
Yeah. And Kamala Harris said it was, she could roll in her eyes as if it didn't exist. And they got body cam footage of at least one police officer confronting somebody doing this. So,
well, David Mule, who is the top reporter in the whole world, said that he talked personally to the city manager.
Yeah.
And was his name Mule? Is it MUILL or something like that?
Yeah,
the guy that commentates or the moderator there tonight.
I don't know the guy's name. I didn't watch the debate. So
it was the worst thing.
It's not important.
It's not important. Here's the thing: is that he said he talked personally to the city manager, and the city manager said that there's no what do you say? He didn't say
no
there was
credible
credible evidence.
Yeah,
It's a fancy way of saying, please don't tell anybody we're doing this because I don't want anybody not to come here. Our real estate is going down.
Right.
So they brought 20,000 Haitians in and add 25%. The government did to a town.
I know. See, how come they don't have to have the citizens' approval of this? I don't understand that. I mean, this is your country. Oh, no, except we can bring in whoever we choose to. We can tax you at every level we want to. Yeah, it's a free country, except, well, we don't like you. We'll have a visit from different LEOs showing up at your door for something you posted on social media. So, I mean, where the hell are we free at?
We've not been free for a long time.
We are the least, I mean, we wave those flags on the 4th of July, shoot off all the fire. And people lost the meaning of the 4th of July because they just like shooting off the fireworks. They giggle like
and
that.
And eat.
Yeah, hot dogs or burgers or sausages. And it's a great day, you know.
As a kid, we used to watch, there was all these patriotic movies, John Adams, The Founding Fathers. You had all the different movies about George Washington. You had everything around the whole week before July. You don't get any of that. You don't get anything. You get maybe a parade everyone runs down to you. But here's the funny thing about it is why didn't they push one thing? Nothing at Springfield would be happening right now if Kamala Harris would have done her job.
Yeah.
Well, or any politician doing their job for that matter.
Well, but she's the one supposed to be going on. This is the one that Biden said is ahead of it. I don't forget the word czar or anything, but she's the one who said she was going to be the one that's going to set this whole thing up. Why didn't she do it? Because now what you're telling me is this, not you, but what the government is telling us, and these newscasters and all these other people and all these other shows, everyone's telling us that, well, if you say one darn thing about this, you're a MAGA and all sorts of stuff. Well, no, it's just, I don't understand stupidity. I don't understand stupidity when somebody is not doing their job and yet you want to promote them to be a president of the United States.
But getting back to the people in Springfield, one of the things that put extra misery on them is their car insurance. That's, a TikTok video of a guy saying that his insurance went up $100 a month and he can't afford his vehicles anymore because that's not what he had, what he had budgeted to pay. That he's going to have to get rid of one of his vehicles and start walking.
This is ridiculous, man. I mean, we're not supposed to say anything.
Go ahead.
We're not supposed to say. It was actually one woman I saw was interviewed about the cat thing. She was actually a black woman herself, so it wasn't a racial thing. It was her. They ate her cat. I mean, I guess we're all liars except for the government officials and that one so-called journalist and that city manager.
Here's the guy. I saw a guy doing something the other day on a show, and he goes, "Guess this is the beginning of a 4-part series. Ready?
Yeah.
One is
you didn't.
There's no cats. No, there's no cats.
We're only live under
Rumble.
On Rumble, and we're not even live under our. Go ahead and shut it down.
Okay, damn it.
You put